Hey, Ghost Hunters! I want to talk to you about Ghostbusters 2016. And this is going to be a non-spoiler review. I'm going to do my best not to blow about any of the major plot points or character moments within this film, so you can see it for yourself fresh. I will be doing a spoiler review. I hope to post Monday, and I believe I'm going to post that on Geekvolution instead of this channel. But you're free to watch this one and not be too blown away about what goes on. So, with that said, let's talk about Ghostbusters. And this is the Paul Feig reboot film. Excuse me, not reboot. I shouldn't say reboot. It's a remake. Reboots are when the film series are still going. Unless 1989 is still current, I would consider this probably a remake. Anyway, there's been a lot of discussion if it should be a continuation or not. I don't think one solid answer, frankly. I think that, let's see, what they have done has been a good idea, because frankly, if you're going to do a remake, I really like the idea of doing this with fresh new characters. And the characters in the film are not remakes of the original characters, and they're not like female versions, gender swapping with the original characters. They are in and of themselves a whole new cast of characters, and I think this film does a wonderful job putting out a lot of love and reverence for the original, while at the same time I think doing a fresh take on the concept. And it's not, what's also refreshing is it's not a complete exact remake note for note. Yeah, there are a couple of story beats here and there, like the characters get called to a place together to finally discover like a female ghost or something like that. They have a successful run and they get in trouble with the mayor. Those things do happen, but not so much where you feel like it's retreading, and I think that's one of the things that I really like about it. I want to talk a little bit about the characterizations. One of the things I like so much is what I mentioned, that the characters aren't carbon copies. And I like a lot of Kristen Wiig's relationship with Abby, played by Melissa McCarthy. And that's kind of the center of this film, is their friendship and relationship. And the backstory to that, without really giving it away, I think is extremely well done. I think grounds the film. With all, the zany comedy and the action, there's a good, genuine friendship in there. And they've had trouble in the past, and now they're kind of reuniting at the beginning of the film. Also, of course, we have, let's see, not just them, but we have Leslie Jones as Patty, and Kate McKinnon as Jillian, and wow, probably my favorite of the new four, because she's such an oddball, and she has a distinct characterization of her own. And I don't know if it was on purpose, but she does remind me of the real Ghostbusters Egon with the crazy blonde hair and the glasses. Could be a coincidence? I don't know. I'm thinking it probably is a direct influence, because this film, I feel, has a little bit more inspiration coming from the real Ghostbusters cartoon in regard of the action, the pacing, and some of the humor, more so than the two original films. But that's just kind of a tone that I'm getting from it. Anybody could get other tones as well. The villain, I'm not going to give too much away about the villain, but there is a human villain in here, and he has a pretty interesting operation going on, and it is coming up at the same time as our Ghostbusters are building their franchise. Let's see, the casting of the original cast in this, in cameo appearances, everybody but Rick Moranis is in here. They even found a way to give Harold Ramis kind of a cameo, which if you blink, you miss it, and it's wonderful and subtle. The performances, I have to say, are kind of hit and miss. I'll start with Bill Murray. Bill Murray has a really interesting character, and he isn't in the film as much as I'd like, because I wouldn't mind seeing that character developed a little bit more. But I really dig his weird-ass FDR meets Truman Capote kind of character. I feel like he is sort of the Walter Peck for this film. I wish they had just developed it a little bit further, and what happens between him and Aaron does launch the plot further, and I wish what happens between them isn't dropped as much as it is. I wish there was just a little bit more to that. Dan Aykroyd just shows up in a cab and says, "I ain't afraid of no ghosts," and that's pretty much it. Dan Aykroyd is Dan Aykroyd. He just shows up, gets his check and leaves. So I have to say, I really loved Sigourney Weaver and Annie Potts. I have to say, also Ernie Hudson, who has a wonderful cameo, and I won't say where, when, and how he pops up, but I really did enjoy that. Annie Potts has a minor character as a receptionist at a hotel, and I have to say, I'm all for remaking with the new continuity, but seeing her as this somewhat similar character to Janine makes me wish maybe they didn't do that, so we could see Janine interact with these characters, like an older Janine. But, on the other hand, I love Sigourney Weaver's character for her cameo. I don't know if she's even on the screen for a minute, maybe even less, but I'm thoroughly in love with that character. I've never seen her play a character like that. It's really interesting when she comes in. And if they do a sequel to this, I want her in the movie again. I want a supporting character for this role that she plays. It's very fascinating. So that makes me happy that they didn't keep the continuity. The action that pops up, you see it in the a couple of trailers, the Times Square sequence, which are really well done and well choreographed. This director, I don't think he's ever done action before, and it's pretty well paced and really well animated with the ghosts. And oh yes, Slimer is also an original cast member who shows up playing himself, and he has a party. He seems to be getting laid, so I enjoyed this. Is probably the most I've enjoyed Slimer since the beginning, since the original film, really, because I was not the biggest fan of him in Ghostbusters 2 and Real Ghostbusters, or I don't know, first couple of seasons he's tolerable. Okay, Kevin by Chris Hemsworth. I will probably never have as much fun in my life as Chris Hemsworth did playing Kevin in this movie. Actors tend to enjoy playing against type, especially when they get known for certain types of roles. And oh my god, he is acting the fuck out of this role, and he thoroughly seems to enjoy every second. It seems like he's on vacation. Like, oh great, I can take a vacation from playing like action heroes and do this? Okay, fine. Oh, point me to the camera, I'll just do it. Very funny interactions he has with the Ghostbusters. I am very happy that he's not like a surly male Janine kind of character. The character they come up with is just amazing. He's like a dog in clothes. I mean, he's absolutely hilarious. It actually steals quite a few seats he's in. Much like Kate McKinnon. I have seen bits of her on Saturday Night Live. She's been in a few commercials I've seen on TV. I haven't really seen her thoroughly play a role in a film, especially a big film like this, and I was deeply impressed by her. As well as Melissa McCarthy, interesting, who's been kind of ramping it up for the last few movies that she's been in, actually kind of downplays her role compared to the others. She doesn't try to match anybody with wackiness, except for maybe the scene where she gets possessed, which, you get possessed, you know, what are you going to do? I actually, oh man, I already talked about that, but there's this wonderful backstory between the two characters, and it really does, you know, follow the through line through the whole film. And one more thing, let's see. I really dug one of the things I liked about this movie. One of the things I liked about the fact that they decided to go with the female cast is, first off, if you're gonna remake it, don't do the characters again. Because I'm a little more attached to the characters than I am, you know, the concept of Ghostbusters. Because the idea could be done as a franchise, it could be played around with different characters. So that was a good idea. And making them female, giving us a female cast, I think, was a good step in that direction to keep them away from being those characters. And it definitely did have its own vibe, and it did feel very present day. It didn't have too much of a classic 80s kind of feel, even at all, I thought. And the way modern science works, in the well, as well as politics and social media. There's a hilarious reference to ghost shows, which I thought was fantastic. And, you know, women's place as far as being taken seriously, I think was done very well. There's something done here that I think is very subtly provocative, in that mainstream films don't usually portray female characters as regular people. And yeah, they've been doing a good job presenting us with quote unquote strong female characters, either superficially or really like layered characters. Either way, in like, you know, action films, you know, we've seen like you know, lots of development in the last few years. But I've noticed they always still have to be glamorously hot. You know, Black Widow's a cool character, still glamorously hot. Beatrice Kiddo, for instance. Wonder Woman, blah, blah, blah. You know, the list goes on, actually. And, or if they don't always get to do the cool stuff or be in charge. Like, for an example of the, I think it's last year's movie, Pixels, for instance. You know, the two female main characters in that are, you know, glamorously hot, but they don't really get to do stuff. And the second one was kind of a prize, which is creepy. This one doesn't do that. Ghostbusters is about 4 regular guys who go into business. Just the business is fighting ghosts. That's what this film is about. It's 4 women who go into business fighting ghosts, and they're regular people, and they're portrayed like that. And I don't get to see regular women of different body types and ages and looks get into a sci-fi action film comedy fun fest for the summer. That does not happen. Yeah, guys have to look good, obviously, for Avengers movies and stuff like that, but they do have the option of not looking like that. You know, like Jack Black has been in a few films, for an example. Or, you know, you can actually name a few other actors who, you know, aren't like Chris Hemsworth hot, but, you know, they get to be a lead in a summer action film. Women don't get that luxury. And I think this film was actually an important step in that, which is exciting. And I'm watching them, you know, in that big kind of almost Scott Snyder-ish action sequence in some parts in the Times Square sequence. And it's amazing. You know, that's all that really needs to be done as far as this, in a step towards women's development in film and the way they're perceived and portrayed. So, yeah, victory, guys, you did it. This film is really good. It's very funny. I had probably the most fun I have had this summer movie season with this movie. Now, granted, I haven't seen every movie, but I've seen a bunch, and this is easily the most fun. I will say that, Yeah, I think in a technical level, Captain America: Civil War is still a better film, but boy, is this more fun! I enjoyed every second of it. The montage that happens at the end of the film, I won't give too much away, but there's kind of a montage that happens after the movie during the credit sequence. Some might find that poorly paced, or like shoehorning in stuff that they could have put in. I found it personally refreshing because I didn't mind hanging out with the characters for a few more minutes. And also, it changed things up between that and the original '84 film. So I was fine with that. If I had to place this in the three Ghostbusters films, easily number 2. It's not as great as the original, but holy crap, does it beat the shit out of Ghostbusters 2. I'd put it, slightly under the original, frankly. I really dug it. I'm going to give it a solid 4 Ram chips out of 5. I thought it was excellent. Go see it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you have any questions or comments, leave below. And my name is The Real Manos, and push the button, Lindsay.